Hello on this cold winter's day here in Cape Town, South Africa. And I was just having this thought about men. And I have worked with so many men, and I've been in intimate experiences with so many men. And in this day and age, the theme that seems to be prevalent with most of them is the disconnect from the heart, which is reflected as control. And it's sad, really, because you can't force this healing to happen unless a man wants it, unless he chooses it. And I think this is the mistake that most women make. They try and fix the man instead of recognizing that he has to choose. He has to decide that he wants to transcend the lack of intimacy that exists, firstly with himself, but with you as a woman. And the journey of recognizing the control, I laugh because it's all about the ego and the conditioning that's happened for a man around maintaining that ego. And what that looks like is having to take on an immense amount of deconditioning around fitting in and belonging. That's one aspect of it. So belonging to the bro, belonging to the boys, um, how society sees you. Um, it means that you have to start dropping as a man the facades that stop you from fitting in to becoming an individual. And and that's an uncomfortable process for a lot of men because that fitting in is such a fundamental aspect of their social status and their perceived power. So, a man who has gone through that process, who is a seeker, he is someone who is not happy in his skin with the way things are, who feels that something is wrong. I just feel like it's an evolutionary component. Not everybody is ready for it. But a man who is a seeker, he will push to find truth because the way that his life is too uncomfortable. It's to not connect in a healthy way with others is uncomfortable. He doesn't feel a resonance with the bro code. He doesn't fit in with the way society expects him to be. There's a wildness to him. And so as he starts feeding that wildness, he starts tapping into that more feminine side of him, which is inevitably what allows him to connect to his heart. And what I mean by that feminine side in him is being able to loosen up, being able to loosen the fuck up. And as the expression goes, every man should experience what it's like being fucked up the ass by a woman so that he can learn to get over himself. And I say that with love because ultimately that's what it boils down to. It's the dismantling of the ego. It's dismantling of the structure of what it is that you've been conditioned to believe means being a man. And so when that unraveling starts happening, all of that little boy stuff starts coming through, all of that vulnerability, all the mummy stuff, all the daddy stuff. And as those defenses start dissolving, that's when there's movement that starts happening. That's when the more feminine aspect within a man can start rising. He becomes more fluid to life. And he starts recognizing that his sexual energy is a force that, when worked with, can be. Sorry, so I got cut off there. And what I was at the pivotal moment of truth, and what I was saying is that when a man starts, when that loosening up starts happening, and he starts working with when that vulnerability starts coming out, or that childhood stuff starts coming out, that was what created that control in the first place. When that starts coming out, he starts realizing the power of his sexual energy, that it's not just about going out there and fucking every single hot thing that comes along. There's a maturing that starts happening. There's a sovereignty that starts cultivating when a man starts working with his sexual energy, because he realizes that it's a conduit to open him up to so much more of what he is. It is his power. And when he starts loosening up all of his defenses, his wounding around his mother and his father, and the traumas that happened to him as a child, the sexual energy can start moving up. And when it reaches the heart, this is the transformation that happens, where the man shifts from thinking that he is God to realizing that he's here to serve a bigger picture. And the nature of his movements in the world takes on a role of maturity and responsibility that's beyond just himself. And his experiences of lovemaking is deeply heart-based, and his connection with his woman and those close to him is receptive, and there's an exchange that is based on presence and truth, because he can stand in what is uncomfortable. He can stay in the fire. He's not going to run away from an intense woman who's in her power, because he's in his power. He's not chasing sex. He's the magician of his life, and he is calling in deep presence and transformation in his world that is incredibly nourishing and rewarding and real. Yeah. So, this potentially is the healing that is needing to happen. And honestly, my opinion on the polyamorous world realm, um, we call it polyagony in the Tantra circles. And I see so many men out there who are just using it as another form of escapism under the umbrella of conscious sexuality, spirituality. And yet they're so disconnected and fearful, and it's running away from the discomfort that is triggered in the intimacy that can come from one woman. So I don't have a problem with it, and of course, I don't have the mandate on what is right or wrong. But in my experience, unless you are in deep presence with each of these women, where there's complete honesty and you are staying in the fire with whatever gets arisen, then you are just fooling yourself and yet still jumping from experience to experience. So I think it's quite a rare man that has the capacity to hold that level of intensity and fire that you can get enough of from just one relationship experience. Um, we're also living in a world where there's so much more stimulation, there's so much more consumerism. Everything is, our attention span is so much shorter. So, in a way, this is a gift and a curse. It's a curse because it means that we struggle to stay with one thing and be present with it. And while it can be fun having all these different flavors and tastes, it can also bring a sense of alienation from our core, because we're never allowing ourselves to immerse into the essence of things, be them good or bad, light or dark, because we're always chasing an idea or an experience just over there that seems alluring or intoxicating, and yet has no real substance to it for us in the long run, because we don't stay with it long enough to to have what is not essential to us burned away. So this is a message for men and for women, and this comes from someone who herself has been burnt away by these experiences, who has gone into the depths of my pain with romantic disillusionment and my attachments, my deep attachments to elusive characters who are vacuous, pretty, so beautiful on the outside, ephemeral, but empty and avoidant and fearful and immature on the inside. And they have been my greatest teachers. And so the journey continues to cultivate that presence and discernment within myself, to be very clear on what I'm calling in as a woman, but also as a man, to bring that presence to each experience with intention. And that for me is when we starting to walk the tantric path. And that is what is so beautiful for me about this work. And I love how when I started this conversation, this recording, there was so much chaos going on. There was a storm happening, there was rain happening, there was music playing in the background. And it's all cleared up. It's almost like it's gotten lighter as well, and the rain has stopped, and it's all the birds are out, and revelation. So thank you for sharing this journey with me. And I share this wisdom. I am going to be bringing out my online workshop for men and for women quite soon. I'm very excited about this. I have tried to find a way to take you on my initiation journey, even though I'm not there in person, in such a way that you can still experience the tangible shifts, go through the healing processes, and access the depths within yourself, even though it's online. So subscribe to my website, and as soon as it's released, you will be notified. And if you're still here watching, thank you.